Hello. Hope you can hear me. All right. Well, here I am, Abby Hoskins, presenting Teach a Topic Week 4, which is Chapter 4 out of our Management of Physical Education Programs textbook, Applied Sport Management Skills, Strategic and Operational Planning is the theme or topic of the chapter this week. So I'm going to do my best and try to make sense of this for you all. So here we go. Just said the name of the chapter. We're going to move on to slide number 2. Overview of strategic and operational planning. Strategic leadership and planning determine organizational performance, which can lead to success or at the very least survival. Poor planning of the use of organizational resources can lead to failure, and you might have heard the term before. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I would think that's kind of like the overarching theme for this chapter over and over again is plan, 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 so you don't fail. But planning ahead can lead to speedier decision making or having to change a lesson plan on the fly. If you're a PE teacher, or perhaps trying to make the best out of your resources. If you're managing a PE department, making sure that the right people are in the gymnasium at the right time, and managing equipment, making sure that everyone has what they need when they need it. So better management of resources, that kind of goes along with it. Yeah. So managing the equipment that you have and the resources, the facility, making sure that everybody has what they need and when they need it. Clearer identification of the action steps needed to reach important goals. So you make objectives, and you need to know what to teach and in what order to teach them, so that the end objective is met on time. I too much time instructing rather than skill work. So I substitute taught today, and the assistant PE teacher became the lead role because I was substituting for the lead PE teacher, and I was just following his lead. But today they introduced a lesson of volleyball bumping. He talked forever. He's normally a teacher that doesn't talk at all, and talked a little bit more. And I was watching the clock, and he talked for almost a solid 10 minutes. And by that point, the fourth graders were kind of getting a little bit lower in their squad spots and getting fidgety. And I thought, well, that's not a good use of the time to be able to make sure that the kids met their objective by the end of the day. So that was one of the examples that I thought to use for this. So planning ahead, make sure you know what to say and when to say it, so that you don't have dead time, or you're not wasting time, I should say. Next slide. Strategic process. So this would be step 1 of the 5. Well, no, I guess not. This isn't step 5, or step 1 of the 5. This would be creating the strategic process. So strategic planning, but there's also operational planning. Strategic planning is long-term objectives, so greater than a year. They're planned out by the management, so maybe the school board If you're thinking a business component, that would be management or so. But in terms of a school, it would be school board. Your strategic process has 5 steps. It's to develop a mission, or what we'll learn later is basically your objectives, your goals, but it goes in greater detail than that later. Analyzes the environment. So internal and external, what we learned in chapter 2. You've got to know what's going on in your environment, what your resources are, how well you're doing, and that makes a difference for setting your objectives, which is like extra detailed goals. We'll go over objectives later too. Develops strategies. So not only do you develop your objectives, but you develop your how you're going to accomplish your objectives. So that the develops strategies part would be the how part of all of this. Implements and controls the strategies. That would be your technique, I believe. Technique for controlling your strategies. And basically, at the end of the chapter, it says, what good are your strategies if you fail to implement them? So a lot of things are good on paper, but if you're not able to carry them out, then all of your planning is for nothing. So that might need some tweaking, I guess, but we'll go over that a little bit later. Operational planning is your short-term objective, so less than a year. Whereas you might have goals for students by the end of the year, every month or every week, they're going to be going through a different lesson plan, trying to accomplish something new. And the first line of managers for that would be your teachers. So strategic planning more than a year, that would be your school board. That'd be your bigger scheme of thinking, and operational planning is the day-to-day people. So they're the teachers. They are the PE department managers. They are doing it all. So find the means to accomplish the end objective. That's what the teachers do. So strategic process, development of the mission. The mission defines who the organization is and why it exists. So the textbook gave an example of FIFA. The what's that called? Federation of International Football Association, I think. FIFA's new vision, as stated in FIFA 2.0, is to promote the game of football, promote its integrity, and bring the game to all. So that's what the textbook said. So immediately when I read it, I thought, well, that's a mission statement of a school system. So I wrote in here Gwinnett County Public Schools. That's the one that I have been doing a lot of my field experience in, substitute teaching in, happens to be where my kids go to school. I went to their website, and wouldn't you know it, what they said, blueprint is listed on their website, which reads a lot like a mission statement. So it says, our blueprint for the future, building the bridge from empathy to excellence, defines our strategic priorities, in 4 areas: empathy, equity, effectiveness, and excellence. To sustain the legacy of the past, GCPS develop this plan that defines the transformational work of the next 5 years. Remember, if you go back to that last slide, that was long-term school board. This is exactly it. This is exactly what it just talked about. incorporating feedback from the GCPS community. So if you go back a couple 2 slides, I think it talked about your environment. So in chapter 2, we talked about internal and external environment. So the GCPS, Gwinnett County Public Schools community, would be your external environment. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, though. Immediately when I saw what the textbook said, and we're supposed to transfer knowledge of this information in this chapter, I immediately went to the school website and I thought, well, what's their mission statement? Well, it's clear as day right here. They just happen to say it's called a blueprint. So whatever, semantics. Here we go. Strategic process. So if you remember back on this slide, it said, oh, yeah, the strategic process. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah, we're still in the strategic process. Levels of strategies. Okay, so an organization's strategy is its plan for pursuing its mission, achieving its objectives. There are 3 levels of strategies, each with a time range for work. So in red, you see corporate. So that's what the textbook said. It said corporate, this is upper level management. They're strategic and they think long term. So more than a year, probably about 5 years, really. And I put in parentheses in red at the top, school board. So think that's as big as you're going to come across for a corporation in terms of a school. That would be your county. So like in the previous slide, I said Gwinnett County Public Schools. Well, that would be it. In yellow, a little bit smaller, is your business strategy. So they're upper to middle management, and they still think strategic and long, probably maybe not as long as the county school board, but they are your admin, maybe in your school or in your cluster. I don't know if you use that term in other counties, but yeah. So in your cluster for your high school and all the middle schools and the elementary schools that feed into your high school, your admin, I'm thinking principal. And then functional strategy would be in green at the top, and in parentheses I put AD, so your athletic director, that would be teacher of your PE department. They are considered middle and lower management. Sorry. And they consist of operational strategies, and they think in terms of short term, so less than a year. So it goes back to month by month, thinking lesson plans, curriculum. They are on the front lines doing the work, making the difference, making sure that the objectives happen. So they're the ones that have to carry out the objectives or the strategies, the strategic planning coming down from the county school board. So next slide. Analysis of the environment. A situation analysis is taking stock in the internal strengths and weaknesses of the organization, external factors, and most directly impact potential opportunities. 3 parts to this situation analysis are analysis of the PE department's industry and its competition. Maybe if you're thinking in terms of rival high schools, I think. Analysis of the PE department's industry and its competition, how they compete against each other. Analysis of the department's particular situation, how well they are performing, I think. I think that's it. Analysis of the department's competitive advantages and disadvantages. So we'll go more in depth in this in the next slide, I believe. I think so. Yeah. And that is, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And in that nice little picture stock photo I have of a gymnasium next to it. An internal factor affecting schools is the administrative standards. So what comes down from the county school board. External factors include societal or familial norms. So what's affecting these kids when they walk through the door? Have they just been dealing with a broken marriage at home? Are they getting fed breakfast? What kind of things are going on in the community that they have questions on? Or I don't know. Anything. So those are the external factors, I guess. Next slide. Analysis of the environment, industry analysis, and 5 competitive forces. So if you think of this in terms of a company, so we'll start underneath the green. So this is what the textbook said. Rivalry between competing firms. So Nike competing with Reebok and Adidas. So think that in terms of a business standpoint, but if you look at school in red, rivalry scores, resources between the schools. Maybe one school has 2 gymnasiums and one does not. So that just means maybe you can get more kids practicing at once or have larger PE programs, or maybe one school has a pool and the other does not. So look at what they have. Potential, if you go to number 2, potential development of substitute products and services. If you think of it in terms of a school, potential development of new curriculum. If you want to teach a new sport, maybe. I think that's what they're thinking here. I'm going to go with that. Potential entry of new competitors, number 3. So under school, number 3, potential entry of new schools in the area. Sometimes, not very often. You'll have an area redistricted. Maybe there's a new school that you're competing against, or a private school that's just popped up, or goodness, I don't even know if the way the world's changing. Web and digital online schools. That's what I'm thinking. I can't get my words out. Maybe that's it. New schools in the area competing against you in sports. Bargaining power of suppliers, number 4. So bargaining power of government with funds, under school, number 4. If you think of it as your county school board, they make the budget, and they are the ones that set what you can buy and when you can buy it. So that's what you're dealing with power of suppliers. Bargaining power of consumers. So this is interesting. So the company, under company, that would be who buys the product, Nike's apparel or shoes or whatever. Number 5 under school, bargaining power of not consumers. Well, it is consumers, but the parents demanding higher performance and more resources. So on one hand, you've got demanding consumers of your product, whatever your PE department is producing. And then on the other side, you've got, school board saying, well, this is your budget and you can't do more than that. So industry analysis in the next slide. 5 competitive forces. Companies, schools use analyses of the industry and their competitors primarily at the corporate level when they are deciding which lines of business they should be consider entering and how to allocate resources between their product lines. So again, this might go back to higher level management. School board's going to make the decisions, and you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. That's basically what it happens to it at the functional teacher or athletic director level. And this is a lot on this slide, so I'll try to go through quickly. But pay attention to this slide, because this is what I have my discussion questions on later. Managers need to analyze the company in order to develop a strategy for the business and to prioritize issues they need to be addressed in the next 3 steps of the strategic process. So think of this in terms of athletic directors. They need to analyze their department in order to develop a strategy for their sports, their classes, to prioritize issues that they need to be addressed in the next 3 steps of the strategic process. So this slide in particular, number 2. Okay. So we'll start from the top, but number 2, pay attention to that. We'll come to it. Number 1, assess present strategy. Past 5 years performance. A business would look at its profits. A school would look at attendance scores, wins, and attitudes of the students, I guess. Number 2, analyze SWOTs. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Look at the internal environment for strengths and weaknesses and the external environment for opportunities and threats. A business like Nike's company situation analysis includes a SWOT analysis. A school, what are teacher and students facing within the schools and at home? Okay. Number 3, assess competitive strength. Understand competitors, what they're doing. A school would be looking at teaching methods of other schools using. What are other PE departments doing with their resources? Are they the most efficient with their resources? What are their wins or strategies for their sports? I don't know. Number 4, make conclusions. How are we doing compared to others? For school graduation rates, test scores, sport wins. Number 5, decide what issues to address based off steps number 1 through 4. Analysis of the environment. Competitive advantage. What makes this organization unique and better than the other competition? I've got a spelling error there. The organization, school, or team is only as good as the employees, students, or players, and their teamwork. Focus on the effective management of people. So that's what the PE or athletic PE manager or athletic department or athletic director is going to do. Effectively manage people. It says a sustainable competitive advantage distinguishes the organization from its competitors, provides positive economic benefits, and cannot be readily duplicated. So what sets you apart? Core competency is what it does well, its strengths. Successful strategies are learned from a comparison of competitors with situational analyses or benchmarking. Goals and objectives. Goals are general target to hit. Objectives, what will be accomplished by specific and measurable terms by a certain target date. Goals translate into objectives. Objectives guide your development of your operational plan and help you to know if you are hitting your target. So, how to write an objective. If you start over here, start with the word to. To. Under company, this would be a company objective, and this would be a PE department objective or a PE teacher's objective. Write in an action verb. To increase, to throw. Add a single specific result you want to achieve that can't be measured. That's step number 3. Sales of eco-friendly footwear by 5%. To put it in simple terms, to throw a ball with accuracy to a target 75% of the time. And choose a target date. All right, so I'll just stay in this lane. To throw a ball with accuracy to a target 75% of the time by the end of class. If it's too vague, you probably will have a harder time meeting your objective. So I have up here to throw a ball with accuracy to a target 75% of the time by the end of the class. That's what we just talked about. That was kind of our example objective. It needs to be, so here's the criteria. Number 1, single result, just a throw, not a throw and a kick. We're not throwing and kicking 75% of the time to the target, just throwing. Specific result, accuracy of 75%. Measurable result, accuracy could be calculated in class by recording data. Target date, not sometime today, but rather at the end of class. Realistic objective, number 5. Challenging but attainable. Notice I didn't say 99% of the time. And team set objectives. Groups that set their own objectives outperform others that have their objectives set for them. What I've never done in class before is allowed students to have input on their goals, but I think it's great. It gives them some sort of form of ownership over it. Team commitment, number 7. Team commitment to the objective. Teams that commit to an objective will work harder to achieve it. I believe that. Setting objectives, using management by objectives. Management by objectives. This is the process by which managers or PE educators, athletic department directors, and their team students jointly set objectives periodically, or I guess in this case it might be the PE teachers, jointly set objectives, periodically evaluate performance, and reward according to the results. So step 1, set individual objectives and plans. Objectives should meet the 7 criteria on previous slide. This one. Give feedback and evaluate performance. Frequency of feedback depends on the job performed by the team or students, or maybe the team of PE teachers involved. Step 3, reward according to the performance. Rewards could be recognition, praise, pay, raises, treats, and promotions, leadership role. Everybody has a different motivation, so you got to know your people. Again, this goes back to a previous slide when we said management of people. It's very critical for reaching your objectives. Grand strategies. Here we go. On organizations, grand strategies are its corporate strategies for growth, stability, turnaround, and retrenchment, or a combination thereof. So your strategy for reaching your objective, is growth, to expand aggressively. So maybe you're growing the sports in your school. Maybe it's stability, to maintain size or grow slowly. Maybe you're not needing to grow it. You just want to maintain. Maybe it's turnaround and retrenchment, cut back because there's cut the fat, I guess. Basically, you're losing money in some area and you've got to cut back. Something's not efficient. It's not working. Combination, maybe you're growing and stabilizing in retrenchment over multiple lines, multiple sports, cutting back on resources, teachers, time, whatever, in order to make things more efficient and productive. There we go. Corporate growth strategies. 3 major options for corporate growth: concentration, backward or forward integration, and related and unrelated diversification. So over on the right, concentrate. That's what Dick's Sporting Goods method is. They stick to sporting goods. They know they're good at it. That's what they're going to do. In a high school setting, if they have a really stellar football program, they're going to stick to promoting that football program because that's what they're good at. They're going to stay concentrated in that area, rather than dipping into other sports that might not be as lucrative or productive with their time. Integrate. Reebok and factory stores, and they also have fitness centers. So, it could be a school is thinking about getting a new sport program, and so they're, in addition to their stellar football team program, they're going to add a tennis team or lacrosse because they've got the field, so they're going to use that. I don't know. Diversify. Nike adding Hurley. So it could be in a school example. It could be I don't even know. I can't think of what my example was. Growth strategies include mergers and acquisitions. Less risky to acquire a business than start a new one. PepsiCo acquired Gatorade and Coca-Cola started Powerade. So PepsiCo had seen Gatorade and what they had done, and they said, we want in on that. That company's already established. We're going to acquire them. And then Coca-Cola, completely risky, started their own company with Powerade. So that's on the business side. On the school side, I don't even know how that could be applied to a athletic director PE program, but maybe you have 2 schools using the same field because one school can't. So it'd be almost a merger of 2. Yeah, maybe that's it. So getting through these. Corporate level strategy, business portfolio analysis. Corporations determine which lines of business they will be in and how they will allocate resources between the different lines. So the example the textbook gave was Adidas and footwear, cycling, and golf. They're kind of dipping their toes in everything in order to basically be more, make more money, lucrative. So PE departments may spend more resources on one sport education more than another. But they might find that, a little bit here and then in a different one outside of whatever is lucrative might bring in other resources. So they just allocates more funds. So the Boston Consulting Group uses 4 groups to sort out strategies for allocation of funds. And I'm not honestly entirely sure how or why they came up with these explanations, but stars in their book and what they use them for, stars are growth. That's opportunities for growth. Question marks are also opportunities for growth, but they're also risky sometimes. Cash cows are your stability, what you're making money off of. So, if you have a lucrative football team and it's bringing in money at the concession stand and ticket sales and apparel, that's your cash cow. That's what you want to keep moving, stabilizing. Stars and question marks might be, hey, I want to start that new tennis team. Well, no one's buying the apparel off of that. No one's spending money at the ticket booth to get in. No one's spending money at the concession stand. It's not happening. Dogs, turnaround retrenchment. So dogs are, managers use the profits from cash cows to fund question marks. Yeah, you might use the funds from football to fund other sports in your school. Business portfolio analysis, entrepreneurial strategy matrix. Entrepreneurs need to determine the chances that their venture will fail and ascertain how serious the financial losses will be. The more innovative and creative a venture is, the more financial risk there is. So if you're thinking way outside of the box and say, you know what, we want to try a new sport in our school. We have a swimming pool, but we really think underwater basket weaving is the next craze. That might be thinking way outside of the box. That might not be as lucrative, and it might fail because it's a little too risky and innovative. I think you're thinking a little too creative. PE management. Could adding a new sport lesson plan using new equipment be risky or worth the investment? I think it would be worth it. So that's, you get new equipment and you don't want the kids to be bored. So try something new. The middle school that I did field experience at this last fall, they did, what's the new one where it looks like you're standing in a corral with like half walls and you're throwing a ball? I can't remember the name of it. But they got, I mean, for small amount of money, they were offering a new sport. So the kids loved it. It was great. Adaptive strategies. Strategies for part of the planning process include 3 strategies: prospect, aggressive new products for entering new markets, seeking growth opportunities, modals, sporting goods versus Dick's Sporting Goods. So they knew Dick's Sporting Goods was doing well, and so they went after it too. And it might just be that one high school competitive and has a really great football program, and they've got something, they're doing something right, and another school is saying, we want to mirror that looks good, we're going to go after that. So they might implement same amount of strategies. Implement a defensive strategy to stay with their current product lines. So maybe a school is saying, instead of diversifying, we're going to stick to what we know. It's making money. It's a cash cow. Let's do that. So they're going to defend and support the one line that they have. Analyze, cautious. So this strategy would be, don't or follow the lead of others, finding success in the market. So look and see what others are doing, and if it's lucrative and if that works, then follow their lead. Competitive strategies. 3 types of effective business level competitive strategies: product differentiation, advantages of their product over competitors. So Nike's logo appeal, school name recognition for a PE department. If you're athletic director, your logo, your name in the community means a lot. So if you're able to make sales off of that, all the better. Cost leadership, stress lower prices to attract customers. So you'd cut ticket sales so that you'd get more people in. Maybe you attract more people at your games than others, or drop prices on apparel. I don't know. Focus. Targeting a specific market, product line, or buyer group. So just focusing on one line for your school. Product lifestyle. It goes from introduction to growth to maturity to decline. That's pretty much what you would see in a life cycle. Get the customers to embrace a new product that is launched, or a new sport in your school, or a new PE class. Maybe it's weight training. Maybe it's aerobics. Maybe it's, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe innovative. Coming up with something new. Focus on quality and systems process improvements. So you're growing it. Maturity. Your cash cow product is mature. Strategy changes to defensive and saturated market. So you're making sure that your cash cow doesn't fail or go anywhere. Strategy shifts to a turnaround and retrenchment for dog product in decline. It's dead in the water. Marketing functions. Define a market product. Find out what the customers want. Figure out how to add customer value. It's responsible for product, promotion, place, and price. Athletic department. Middle school PE teachers selling PE classes as a connections choice to rising sixth graders entering middle school. It's all about how you sell it, right? Make it flashy and fun. Sell all those sports that you're going to teach them. Focuses on quality. Operations functions focuses on quality and efficiency as it produces the products that marketing determines will provide customer value. And I'm coming up on my time limit, so I'm speaking a little bit faster. Human resources functions. Your human resources department work with all functional departments to recruit, select, train, evaluate, and compensate employees. Are all schools still requiring special training for PE teachers? I had a story about that, but I don't have time for it right now because I'm coming up on my time limit. So never mind. Basically, there's elementary schools out there who are hiring non-trained teachers to teach PE, and that's been on my mind. Finance functions. Finance activities record transactions, optimize cash, and fundraising. So if you're an athletic director, you probably need to be aware of your budget and how you're allocating that, how you're using it, because you're probably going to have to record your transactions and give a reason for your why. Where do PE department funds come from? School board. Are all funds used? I don't know. Are they? And if they're not, where did they go? The leftovers. So implementing and controlling strategies is my last slide. The fifth and final step is used to make sure that the mission and objectives at all three, corporate, business, and functional. Remember, that was school board and admin or principal and athletic director levels are achieved. Successful implementation of strategies requires effective and efficient coordination and cooperation throughout all the organization. So make sure all of your teachers are on board. Discussion question. Go back to slide 9 or page 86 in your textbook. Provide a SWOT analysis of the most recent PE department you have taught in or managed. How was or is the department doing? What are the strengths that could lead to future opportunities? And what weaknesses could lead to potential threats? I'm done. Just under 45 minutes. Thank you for your time.